Hi guys, it's Hell on Wheels. I hope you're doing well. I would just like to say a few words about Jeff C., the impact that he's had on me, and the impact I've seen him have on the community. I have been following Jeff C. for almost 5 years now, and although he wasn't what started my awakening journey, he was a huge part of it, and for that I owe him many thanks. Although Jeff C. is gone, the community that he built has not disappeared. The impact that he's had on the world and the truth movement as a whole will not disappear, although his passing will definitely leave a void. Many of us in his community have become close as a result of meeting each other through him, and for that I'm also thankful. I was fortunate to be able to speak to him on the occasions that I did. I always enjoyed talking to him. I felt like he enjoyed talking to me too. And we shared many laughs. Jeff C. came at his work with a passion and a level of humor that I think will be sorely missed by all of us. There were some times where I knew I needed to know what was going on, but I just couldn't stomach watching another truther video. When that would happen, I would watch some of Jeff C.'s work because the way that he did it wasn't so doom and gloom, and at least there were some jokes in there, and you could get a chuckle at how absurd this world is. I really don't know what to say about his passing. I know what kind of an impact it's going to have on the community. We're such a small, tight-knit community that when we lose one of our own, it's painful. And especially when we lose someone who was as strong, as passionate, and as dedicated as he was. I hope that whatever comes after this will be something that Jeff himself will have been happy with. I know that it certainly inspires me to work harder and carry on my own speaking and seeking of truth, and I hope it does for you guys as well. That being said, I'm gonna end this video by playing my first Patreon show, the first time I ever spoke with Jeff. In this clip, I was very nervous because this is somebody that I considered a mentor. I don't really look up to many people, but Jeff was one of those people. And I am very thankful for the impact that he had on me, on our little community, and on the world at large. Thank you, Jeff. You will always have my respect. Rest in peace, brother.
Wheels. Hey, Wheels, what's happening?
Hey man, how you doing? Can you hear me?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm about as good as you can be in this
Yeah.
crazy time.
Do you want to let folks know whereabouts you are? You can say just country or
Yeah,
state
I
if you want.
actually was gonna mention that because I live in New Jersey,
Okay.
and for any of you guys who don't know, it's fucking crazy here. Like, New Jersey is as bad as New York when it comes to supposedly when it comes to cases, and in some ways it's actually worse with restrictions. And so my Governor Murphy here is like a tyrant. We're the only people in the country that don't even have indoor dining or anything right now, and he's trying to do everything he can to keep everything shut. So it's unbelievable to me.
Mhm.
He's literally like right now. I'm not gonna give too much about my area, but my area is now I think the poorest area in the entire country, thanks to him.
Good Lord.
So things are getting really bad here, and
Do you have BLM on top of that happening?
in I'm in a small area, but the nearest area that we have here, the
Yeah.
nearest big area, we did have some BLM activity. Yes,
Okay.
it's they actually shut down that city for a while. They we I had a 4th of July party at my house, and one of my good friends that lives there couldn't make it because they literally shut all in and outgoing traffic.
Okay. I just want to intervene here for a sec. Pat, if you could drop out, if you could do us a favor and leave the room here, because we're just people trying to get in. So I'm trying to get every person that already came on to just drop out temporarily, at least, so we can get the people that haven't got it. Thank you so much, Pat. I really appreciate that. All right. So whoever might be trying to get in, there should be an empty space now. Yeah, Wheels. Geez, that's it sounds like maybe you're getting pretty stressed by this as well. I mean, is this taking a toll on you personally, or?
Yeah, it has been. I I lost my job, which I'm trying to get things back together. Luckily, I'm actually physically disabled as well,
Okay.
as I mentioned before, and I was able to luckily get disability to come through in the meantime while
Okay,
I'm
that's
looking
good.
for another job. But
Mhm.
let me just tell you, because I know you've talked about the disabled stuff
Yeah.
before,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to tell you, as somebody who has been disabled my whole life, you're
Mhm.
absolutely right about how programmed people with disabilities are. It drives me crazy because we're like the first targets for eugenics, and these people are like cheering it on. They're like, "Yeah, we need the government to have more control of our healthcare. Yeah, we need to be programming people into like, we need video games to be more accessible. We need
Yeah.
this and that." I'm like, no, you need to be fighting for the outside world to be accessible. You need
Yeah.
like there are actual a lot of legitimate issues that do affect disabled people. I can tell you firsthand how much we're discriminated against.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
at the same time, I also have a thick skin because
Yeah.
I had to learn to live with that stuff, and I don't come from the best background either, so I kind of learned to
Right.
grow up and live with it. So I'm the last person you're going to see that goes, "Oh, I'm in a wheelchair. I feel so bad. Please feel bad for me."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've got friends in wheelchairs, and I know how difficult it. I don't even know, because none of us could really know unless we're in that situation, because it doesn't go away. It's like pretending to be blind for 5 minutes, right, and thinking that you know what it's like to live that life. None of us really fully know that, but I think what they do and what they're doing systematically is making every demograph a victim, right, and convincing because that leads to more government, right? If you can convince young people that they're victims of, say the boomers, for instance, or you can convince minorities that they're victims of, say, white supremacy and white privilege and all this, and this is their cultural Marxist sort of methodology for mind control, because what it leads to is way more people demanding more government, because that's ultimately the only solution that's provided, right? It's not like they really want to make your lives better. They just want to use you to bring in more government, which means more control. And what we're seeing is just government, the corporatocracy itself, just taking, like a giant blob, taking control of every element of society. And that's why they're able to do something like this, what's happening right now, because they're just, even though they don't really have technically the power to do what they're doing, like if everybody said no, it would stop tomorrow, or it would stop right now. But it's because so many people are in the belief system and already have that authoritarian sort of mindset that you have to do what the authorities tell you, that they buy into this. So it's quite something that's going on. And yeah, I mean, like New Jersey too. I've heard, I know you've been messaging me, and things have been really bad there. And we had somebody on last month that was in New Jersey as well, talking about the gym. I think it was that's been like one of the big. uh
Yeah.
yeah.
So what happened with that was that Governor Murphy is suing a gym owner. I don't remember where, but I think it's near where I am, for opening a gym a day early or
Mhm.
something like that. So he was trying to sue the gym owner for that, and
Yeah.
actually a couple of businesses are suing him. So like honestly, I hope something goes through with it.
Yeah.
Somebody needs. I don't know if you've seen what this Governor Murphy guy looks like, but he looks like he looks like a horse, dude. Like I was like, I always joke with people. I'm like, hey, why doesn't somebody just like drop a bale of hay for him in his mansion, see if he can get him to leave us alone.
Yeah, I see him now. He's got a horse face. Oh my god.
He does, Mr.
Maybe
Ed.
you should go out to stud with Susan. You know Susan Wojcicki?
Yeah, yeah. They
Yeah,
both
maybe they
do
can.
love their authoritarianism, both of them.
I want to show folks what this guy looks like. I hadn't really seen him before, but I was like, wow, yeah, he totally has a horse face. That's hilarious. Maybe
Yeah,
that's why he's so such a dictator, right? He's just had to suffer all his life with his
yeah.
crappy horse
Revenge of
face.
the Nerds. Him
Yeah.
and Bill Gates and
Are
oh
you
man.
are you finding are there people in your neighborhood and your family and friends and stuff that are awake of what's going on or questioning this or
Well, yeah, some of them, because I've been awake for a long time.
Mhm.
Uh, I just found your channel in 2016, but I was really like my awakening journey started at when, like what 2008 maybe.
Mhm.
Um, so I've been, but I didn't find. I found the Agenda 2030 stuff years ago, and I was telling people, "Hey, look, look, look! This is happening! This is happening! This is happening!" For like at least 5 or 6 years. I've been telling people that, and
Mhm.
so for most of that time, I've been hearing you crazy, you're conspiracy
Yeah.
theorist, you're this, you're that. But now some of my family members that I was desperately trying to wake up before were like, they sat me down and they're like, "Hey, so all that stuff that you said,
Mhm.
that you were telling us and you were telling the rest of the neighborhood, we were all discussing it, and and some of the people in my local area and my grandparents and stuff were all saying how all the stuff I was telling them is coming true, and they should have listened before."
That's good though. I mean,
Yeah,
better late than never. And
that's
certainly
true. It
now
made
would
me
be the best
happy.
time, like for anybody to wake up right now, because this is the real deal, right? I mean, it's like you wake up now, and maybe we have a chance if we get enough of these people to
Yeah,
stand.
and I've been mostly through word of mouth because I'm not that good at making videos, but I talk to a lot of local people, or try to, and I've tried to plant seeds, and that's always been my method. But now people are telling me like, "Okay, now I see what you're talking about. What else can you tell me about it?"
Ah, that's good though. That's
Yeah.
much better than I don't want to hear it. Stop talking to me.
Yeah, that used to be the biggest thing. I would try to tell, like, especially my mom or something. She'd be like,
Mhm.
stop thinking about this stuff." She'd literally tell me I think too much,
Yeah. Yeah.
and would tell me, "I no, you need to stop. I don't want to know. I don't want to know."
Yeah, I get that all the time. I know exactly what you're going through, and it's because it's overwhelming. I think for a lot of people, like they you can get some people to start to question things, and then maybe they'll agree with you on certain things, but then like the overwhelming sort of feeling that their whole paradigm is falling apart is too much to handle, right? Because if you don't if you're like, well, if the television's lying to me, what else have they lied to me about, and
Yeah,
how long, and oh boy, and I know a lot of people in that situation where it's like their whole world would collapse because that's their belief system. I mean, your belief system is built You have your regular sort of news programs that you watch, you have your magazines that you're subscribed to, you have the websites that you go to, and all of a sudden something comes in and tries to challenge that, to tell you, know what, you're in a controlled system, it's all, that can be a little bit too much for people to handle, but at least you're having success now. Now
Yeah,
you just have to,
absolutely.
yeah, just but yeah, I think with family too, they want what's best for you, and they don't want you to overstress things. But there's this kind of fine line where it's like, okay, yeah, I agree, you shouldn't overstress. And I say this to everybody, so everyone that's listening to this now or listening to it later, if you're feeling just overwhelmed with stress, that's a sign, right? Don't ignore that sign. Listen to that sign. It's the time to take a good breather. Like get out of the city, or go on a little trip, or get in nature. Just detox. Get away from this. Take a break. Take a breather. And just allow yourself to recuperate, because it is very stressful. I think all of us are feeling it. It's like I just did the article there on the pod people sort of
Oh
thing.
yeah. As soon as I found that, I sent it to you because I
Yeah,
was
it was
like,
you that
"Oh my
sent it to
god."
me, right? Oh, thank you so much, Hal. I
No
really
problem.
appreciate that. What happens sometimes, I forget, because I open up so many links that people are sending me, and then I have all these links up, and I'm like, okay, which one am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to do this one. But I really appreciate that. I appreciate all the stuff that you've been sending. You've been really good with that. And
Yeah, no problem. There's stuff that I want to put up on my channel as well, but then I'm like, you know what? Why don't I get as many eyes on this as possible?
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's what I do.
that's
So
great. Yeah, you should try to do videos if you can, but it's always good if you're gonna send, like, there's different ways to help get this out, and one of the ones is to hit people like me and send us the links
yeah,
and whatever, and sometimes we'll have the audience to be able to reach with it, sort of thing. But
yeah.
it's
I'm actually working on a video now. It was something that one of your podcasts inspired me to do. It was about the people with disabilities and the programming with that, because I
Mhm.
figured I had a good
Yeah.
perspective. So I started looking into all these different like big projects that are supposed to be for like disability rights.
Hmm.
If you look at their sites and stuff, it's all we must dismantle capitalism because it's like
Yeah.
it's all that.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
just look because they'll say, "Oh, it's putting, we got to dismantle capitalism because you're at a disadvantage if you have a disability." And I'm like, "Well, no shit, that's what a disability is."
Newsflash. I mean, it's some of the stuff I see, like, because I am very sympathetic. Like I said, like, for instance, like with disabled people, like I said, like, it doesn't make sense for an old building to spend $2 million to make a ramp, just for the occasional thing, because that's like a misallocation. But it does make sense for a new building to be built to definitely make it so that disabled people can come in the front door, like, with dignity, right, sort of thing.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I wouldn't even care, as a disabled person, if I had to go through the back entrance or whatever on an older building because that's how they could make it work in the most cost effective way. I wouldn't
yeah,
give a shit
yeah,
about that, but it's just people expecting, 200-year-old buildings to do like
yeah.
a whole entire renovation. Like there are ways for us to get into buildings that don't require them changing everything.
And I find a lot of disabled people, like, they don't want to be treated like, they don't want to feel like they're disabled. They want to be able to just move about and do their things, and not be treated like, oh, with kids gloves and stuff like that,
Yeah,
right?
I'm one of those. I'm one of those people. Like
Yeah.
my disability's obvious. I tend to but I try to do my best with it. Like I go back and forth between the manual and the electric wheelchair when I
Mhm.
can.
Yeah.
And like there's different things I can do.
Yeah.
Like actually during this whole thing, I find myself jumping in my manual chair a lot to clear my head. But
Yeah. That's
I
great. So you go out on in the neighborhood, sort of thing, and
yeah,
get some
yeah, I do.
exercise. That's
Yeah,
great.
I can't handle it super long, but
Yeah.
But the thing is, it keeps my body as strong as it can be, and then, because I don't ever want to get to a point where I'm completely screwed without an electric chair.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's very wise.
But it's like, but yeah, I hate that. I really hate the victim mentality that
Mhm.
comes with the disabled community, because there is a lot of that, and
Yeah.
there's like, oh, well, the able-bodied person said this to me or whatever. Like, listen, I worked with the public. I heard stupid, ignorant comments all day, and I dealt with it, and it was fine. I
Yeah.
probably went home. I probably went out of earshot and laughed at how stupid whatever somebody said to me was.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the right attitude. See, that's to me, that's it. Like look, I know a lot of people that, like I've known, really old people that just have the right attitude, for instance, right? That, even despite all the things, negative things that they might have in their health, they just have a positive attitude. And I think a positive attitude is so essential. I mean, like you talk about what really is making people sick and depression and mental illness, which, most of it is coming from the television, it's coming from the beast itself. And people think they're being programmed into, oh, it's normal to be this way. Well, no, you shouldn't be unhappy. You should, like you should be doing things that make you feel better, right? And like in your case, getting out, getting some exercise, getting some fresh air, really important. Like you should try to do that as much as you can, because I think no matter what, it doesn't matter if you're disabled or you're not disabled, you're old or you're young or you're, whatever situation you might be in, anyone is going to benefit from getting some exercise, and it's just common sense sort of thing. And so that's really good to hear that you have that mentality, and you see through a lot of the conditioning that they're using, I suppose, on a lot of disabled people that, condition them into that victim status, much like they do with the women and the Black Lives
yeah,
Matter and
I
stuff, right?
mean, they've got it. They've got so many of them convinced that, like, and yeah, again, there is discrimination and stuff, so there is like some truth to what's being said.
Mhm.
But and I can tell you plenty of horror stories of my own.
Mhm.
But when you start telling disabled people that the only way for them to be okay is for everybody else to be as poor and miserable as they make us, is
Yeah.
just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
That, and the way that they condition people with these words too. It's like, I own the word cripple. I use cripple to describe myself, and people get mad at me for it. People with working legs will literally be like, "Why would you use that word? Oh my god!"
Mhm.
And so like I'll tell people, own that word. Own it.
Yeah.
Because the only reason you get so worked up over that word is because you were programmed to get so worked up over that word.
Yes.
And you were programmed to get so worked up when people say something to you, cuz like I swear they're so conditioned. So many of them are so conditioned, they'll like jump at you if you say like even something a little wrong, or even something like, hey, don't dismantle capitalism. It's not capitalism that's the problem. It's the fact that we're all fighting for the wrong things.
Yeah. It reminds me, I don't know if you've ever seen Game of Thrones. Um, but
I avoided that like the plague.
okay, it's good. I'm not going to tell you to watch it, but the midget character in the show, he actually, because there's a boy that's disabled, right? He becomes paralyzed from the waist down, sort of thing, and so they he goes to him to give him advice, and he says, wear your disability as a badge of honor, right? And otherwise people will use it against you forever, right? Like, don't feel shame, be who you are, right? I'm a midget, and everywhere I go, like people are calling me the imp or whatever like that, but like he doesn't let it affect him. Like he becomes stronger because of it, right? He becomes stronger because he stands up to it and doesn't let it get under his skin or doesn't let it bother him, sort of thing. So you have the right attitude for sure.
Yeah, I
um,
see the disability. Like, obviously I'm not stupid. It is a disadvantage in a lot of ways, but at
yeah.
the same time, because I have this disability, I'm actually more independent according to like physical therapists and stuff than I really should be with my diagnosis. I'm even working on getting a driver's license right now.
Awesome. Awesome. You should definitely get that. That would be awesome. I had a friend in high school who is paralyzed, and he had a special van that he booted around in, and he actually got it. I don't know, he got it when he was like 15 or something like that, but he used to drive everywhere with it. It was pretty cool, and so I think that would be really great for you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm taking my road test on the 10th.
Awesome. Well, best of luck to you.
So that was the clip of the live stream that I was in. If you want to check out the full stream, I would highly recommend it. There were a lot of great people that came on and talked, and they all had really interesting things to say. And that channel is an awesome place to go if you want to know what's going on in the world. I did show up for a few minutes at the end of that stream, but I didn't really stay long or add much. But anyway, I'm gonna put the link in the description below so you can check that out for yourselves. As far as the content you might see on this channel, I'm going to try to work on a video tomorrow regarding the insanity with face coverings and where they might be going with that. I'm also in the research phase of a video on disability activism and my issues with it. I plan on making a pretty in-depth video on that, and it's probably not going to be the only one since it's kind of not something that's talked about, but it's very, very full of New World Order BS. As far as other content, I might pick up a lot of different things that I find important, but I'm gonna try to release some New Jersey centric videos as well, since a lot of the people in New Jersey are very much asleep to things, and I'm hoping to wake some people up. And hopefully, our state can serve as a cautionary tale for other states and people that also refuse to wake up, because it's getting really bad here. So I just really want to shine some light on that and some other things that are just as important. For the time being, though, I hope you guys are all well. Thank you for watching and have a great night.